Your life changes the moment you decide to stop settling. But what no one prepares us for is what happens next. And whether you've been settling in your love life, in your career, in your friendships, or even with the relationship you have with yourself, no one talks about this honestly. We talk about leaving the relationships, we talk about quitting the job, we talk about walking away from those friendships, but we don't talk about the internal moment when you finally decide to choose yourself. And that's the real turning point, isn't it? Not the breakup or the move or the boundaries, but the moment that you stop betraying yourself in all those small ways that you've been doing. Sometimes settling becomes such a normal part of our lives that we don't even realize we're doing it. But once you start to see the signs, you can't not see them. And maybe you had been having some feelings and you're not really sure what it is, and you've never been able to put words to it before. So let's go over what some of the signs might be that you might be feeling right now. It's just this tiny whisper at the beginning. And that reminds me of something I heard a long time ago, that sometimes God whispers in your ear, and if you don't listen, then he taps you on the shoulder. And if you still don't listen, he pushes you down the stairs. And I don't know about you, but I've not listened to the whisper and the tap on the shoulder several times and have always regretted it. So I have learned to listen to the whisper now. And so this honest conversation that I want to have with you is about learning to listen to that whisper. And if you're past that part and you're at the shoulder tapping, or even maybe just before the falling down the stairs, being pushed down the stairs part, let's talk about it. There comes a point when you realize you can't do it anymore. You realize that this isn't working and I deserve better. And maybe nothing has changed with you yet. Maybe you're, like I said, maybe you're still wondering, you're still in that in-between part and you're not sure what's going on. But once that inner shift happens, you can't stop pretending anymore. It's like I said, your soul kind of taps you on the shoulder and before your mind catches up. But even though I think you know, probably deep down inside, whether you're settling with something in your life or not, let's just kind of go through some of the signs just so you can have a general idea of what's happening. You might be feeling something like a low-grade sadness, just something inside, a heaviness that you can't quite explain. You might be feeling like you have to give reasons for your needs being met, like you have to explain yourself, and then you feel guilty that you're even having to talk about your needs. You might find yourself tolerating things that you know you shouldn't. And maybe they're not non-negotiable, deal breakers or anything like that, but they're just, you're tolerating things that you know do not align with you, especially if they're, fairly important things. And often it's because you're afraid of disappointing people more than you're afraid of disappointing yourself. You may be experiencing a restlessness as well that you just can't quite define. But more than anything, I think the big sign that you're settling in your life is you keep trying to negotiate with your intuition. You are arguing with this feeling in your gut that you have. You keep trying to, make sense of it. And you may do things like, give me a sign if I should stay or go or change or whatever. And all you're really doing is delaying the inevitable. When you are settling, you become a lawyer for your own disappointment. So let's be honest, like I said, many of us settle in our lives. And most of the time we do it without noticing that we're even doing it. We settle for so many reasons. We settle because we don't want to hurt anyone. We settle because we don't want to rock the boat. We settle because we don't want to start over, or we need to start over, or we don't want to start over again. We settle because we don't want to be too much, or too sensitive, or too needy, or too emotional. We settle because we're hoping something will change, or someone will change. And we keep telling ourselves, well, it's not that bad. Like, everything's fine. Even though something inside of us is silently whispering that this is killing us. And honestly, sometimes we settle simply because we're tired. Because we're tired of being in survival mode, and settling feels easier. And sometimes we settle simply because we're lonely. And that's a totally normal human reaction to things. So don't beat yourself up if you've done any of these things. We've all been there in one way, shape, or form. But eventually something happens and everything becomes a little more clear. And this is your psyche, this antenna that kind of goes up, because it knows that there's something on the horizon that's going to create a change. And when it does happen, it's really funny. It's not a rage or a heartbreak, and it's not chaos. It's nothing. It's just this quiet clarity that says there's got to be a shift here. And for some reason, I don't know why it happens really. I don't know how growth happens really internally. It's interesting. But your standards finally come up to meet your worth. And you wake up one day and say, I just can't do this anymore. And that thought alone, that awareness, is the beginning of everything. Because suddenly it isn't something that you just do. It's a way that you diminish yourself. And the moment you decide that you're not doing it anymore, your whole life starts rearranging itself. Because here's the real honest part that no one warns you about. When you stop settling, your life is going to become more uncomfortable before it starts to get amazing. People have benefited from your silence or your compliance. And those things will start to fall away when you decide to stop settling. Situations that relied on this smaller version of you will stop working. It's kind of strange the way it happens. And things that you used to tolerate, that you used to let slide, you no longer can. You're tired of your own excuses. You're tired of other people's excuses. You feel restless in things that you once felt familiar. You stop begging, you stop forcing, you stop explaining, and you just stop shrinking yourself. And things that once felt fine suddenly just feel, like I said, impossible to tolerate. And the reason is because they were meant for the person that you no longer are. It's pretty simple, actually. The person that you were before possibly your childhood experiences or societal expectations and conditioning, or even just life's events that force you to wear this mask to survive in one way, shape, or form. And the shift, when it starts, doesn't start in your head, it starts in your body, as do most things in our life. If we listen and we pay attention, it'll be that heaviness I'm talking about. It'll be that restlessness. It can also even be what seemingly sudden irritation to everything and everyone, or certain people or certain things that you just can't ignore anymore. It's an intolerance for the bare minimum that you used to be okay with. And all that really is your inner compass realigning. Your soul always knows when your life has become too small and it refuses to live in exile anymore. It will only go on for so long. But when it happens, when you finally start to realize what's been boiling under the surface, things start to become clear. It's not a collapse. It's honestly a clearing. And funny things start to happen then. You'll lose interest in things that you used to find interesting. You may outgrow old friendships. You definitely will stop chasing people and things that don't choose you. That's a big one. You walk away from conversations and situations that drain you. But I will tell you that your life will get smaller before it expands. And it will get quieter before it aligns. And it may even get lonelier before it becomes more true. And that part feels scary. And while it's scary, it's also very freeing. And let me tell you something else that's difficult to hear, difficult to even say. Some people won't understand this shift. It'll confuse them, honestly. Some may call you selfish. They may call you difficult. They may act like maybe you're going through some midlife crisis. And some may even call it a betrayal. They'll say, you're not the same person anymore. What happened? And you'll go, that's right. I'm not the same person because I finally decided to choose myself. And that's the price, unfortunately, or fortunately, that you have to pay for returning to yourself. Because you can't be authentic and please everyone. It's not possible. You can't live within your truth and meet everyone else's expectations at the same time. And when you return to yourself, the people who knew this domesticated version of you, it's deeply unsettling for them to have you change. They want the old you back. You fit within this narrative that they had, but that version of you is dying and you need to let it die. So when you go through this shift, you start to understand that truth is more sacred than harmony. And if you're like me, you would realize that you'd rather be alone than surrounded by people who are forcing you to be a false self. You start shedding the myth that your worthiness is determined by how well you fit in. And when you stop settling, you become harder to manipulate, but you become easier to love. And then this rise happens, and it's not overnight, it's not some dramatic, explosion. It's just this quiet rise of your life, and you feel stronger and brighter and clearer and braver. And you feel more like yourself than you have in years, or maybe even your entire life. And your standards go up, and your boundaries get clearer, and your intuition gets so much louder, and your peace becomes non-negotiable. And your future becomes so clear then, and you stop negotiating your worth. And here's the beautiful part. This is the really exciting part. Once you stop settling for the bare minimum, the universe stops giving you the bare minimum. And aligned people show up, and aligned opportunities show up. And you even have a chance for a more aligned love to show up because you've cleared out all the debris that wasn't meant for you, or at least not meant for you now. So just know that if you're tired right now, if you're in that in-between place where you're not sure where to go, I get it. I really do. I've been there. Know that you're not being dramatic. Know that you're not being, too emotional or too needy. And please know that you're not a failure. You're just simply no longer willing to settle or give yourself to things that don't honor you. It's time for you to honor you. You're evolving. You're just remembering who you are. And now that you know the truth about the situation, now that you know what you're probably really going through and where you are and where you've been, there's only one question that's left. Will you continue to play this part that you probably didn't do with your own permission, didn't agree to? Or will you finally permit yourself to be your true self? Your soul's been waiting a long time for that. So if any of this has resonated with you, maybe put in the comments. It doesn't have to be anything personal. Simply put, I will no longer settle. I'm settling no longer for whatever you want to say. Put it out in the universe. Put that energy out there that you are not settling anymore, that you are going to honor yourself, honor your needs, and know that it's okay. Know that you're not alone. If nothing else, I'm here for you. If this conversation was something that you needed to hear, I so would appreciate a like and a subscribe. It would really help my channel immensely, and I promise to get better at this. But in the meantime, thanks for being here with me, and I wish you peace and love.